For those of you out there in my audience who are still suffering under the delusion that things couldn't possibly get any worse than they were the last 4 years under Joe Biden, I would like to humbly submit that I think you might be suffering from a lack of imagination. You see, there's all sorts of different kinds of bad. I don't think we're ever going to see the days again where you have the arguments over the trans nonsense or all of the absolute incompetence from Washington, D.C. In fact, I think quite the opposite is going to happen. The people that are in charge now know right well exactly what they're doing and what they want to achieve. I just don't think it's what they told you it was going to be on the campaign trail. And nobody is going to be truly prepared for this very, very different kind of hell that is coming. Now, there's a story out there that people are just missing. They're just missing it. And in today's video, I'm going to try to share this with you in perhaps different language. Maybe we can hop into the Wayback Machine a little bit and see if we can see something that's completely inconsistent with what we thought our values were. But real quick, as always, I just want to say thank you. I want to start every video off remembering to practice gratitude and be thankful for what we have. I have a wonderful cadre of supporters over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. Plenty of room. We've got folding chairs in the back for those of you who want to file in when we're full. We're going to have some brand new videos coming out, and believe me, taking the gloves off and speaking our mind, saying what we really think and not hedging so much like we have to here on YouTube so that we don't possibly offend anyone. Love to have you over there. $2 a month at the base level, 4 levels, 2, 5, 10, and 15, fully and completely refundable. First 90 days, no questions asked. Absolutely love to have you over there. Hundreds of videos going back many, many years, all the way back to 2018. And like I said, if it's not for you, you can get all your money back and not have lost anything. So, once again, God bless all of you who have done it already. Thank you so much. Stick around to the end of the video. There's something we haven't talked about in a while. Patriot Nurse. Stick around to the end of the video. I have a question for her, and I would like to ask it here openly so that, we can get a correct answer, and hopefully somebody will share this with her, and maybe we can divine something about what's happening in the United States that people aren't quite seeing. So stick around to the end of the video. But let's get right to the concept. If I had 15 or 20 years ago told most patriots, most Constitution-honoring Americans that in 2025, the federal government, under a former Democrat president, would be empowering all sorts of military-equipped authorities to go bashing in doors and demanding people produce papers to prove they are American citizens and have a right to be there, and that you would be cheering for it, and that Christians and conservatives and patriots and gun lovers and they'd be all cheering for it. Yes, absolutely. We want the federal government to go take military-equipped agencies like the FBI and ICE, and we want them to go bash in doors, and we want them to demand from people their papers to prove they're American citizens. If I had said that, you would have probably had me put into a rubber room, off to the funny farm. There's no way a Constitution-loving American citizen would ever, especially under a guy, and he was a Democrat, by the way. He was, and he's starting to show a few of his Democrat colors recently, but we'll get into that in another video. That you'd be for it? That you would be for this? You see, there's all sorts of reasons the government would love to bash in your door and start asking questions. Whether you were born here, whether you have naturalization papers, whether you're legally allowed to be a person here, that you'd be for that? Kind of crazy when you put it in that context. You see, something weird's going on. Something weird's going on that they didn't talk about in the election. Remember when I started showing pictures that Donald Trump was going to send people to detention camps indefinitely? You see, people are like, oh, he's going to deport them. he's going to deport them. Well, they're called deportation camps now. Remember this, new update? Donald Trump's deportation camp discovered. Massive military operation sends thousands to forced labor camps. Florida Maquis, that's not happening. They're getting on planes and they're going to... Really? Are they? Newsmax. Military bases to be used to house, giant air quotes, illegals. Report. Military bases to be used to house illegals. This is coming right from Exith. The Trump administration is planning to use military bases to house illegal immigrants as they go through the process of being deported. Process of? I thought you just put them on a plane, took them where they had to go, said get off the plane, get away from the plane, we're taking off, and you come back. I thought that's what that was. Fort Bliss near the southern border. By the way, I was stationed there for a while. Fort Bliss near the southern border in El Paso, Texas, would serve as a model as the administration seeks to develop more detention facilities on military sites across the country to make up for a shortfall of space at ICE facilities. So now ICE is just an arm of the U.S. military. The Trump administration will expand on a Barack Obama plan used by previous administrations that held some illegal immigrants at military bases, most recently unaccompanied children, remember the cages, all that, released into the country to the care of friends. All this. You see, here's what it boils down to. They're going to take people who have jobs. Remember what you said. Oh, we only want to get the gang members, and we want to get the really bad ones, and the Lake and Riley offenders and all that. We want to get that. No. That's not what's happening now. What's happening now is that just being here, if you have a job, even if a job that you're paying taxes, and you're working, and you just don't have the right papers to be here, you see, you're just as bad as the Lake and Riley types. The Lake and Riley offenders, you're just the same thing. But now, you're going to get, remember, you have a job and you're working. You might be working under the table. Maybe you got a food stamp card. But now, guess what's going to happen? Here's the part you really got to pay attention to. When they take them to Fort Bliss, when they take them to the detention camps, they're going to get 3 hots and a cot. They're going to get medical care. They're going to get all sorts of services on the taxpayer's dime. You see, instead of being a contributing member of society, just without papers, they're going to go now be 100% financed and cared for by your tax money on military bases. Yes, they're going to eat in the chow halls. They're going to have, more than likely, legal counsel provided for them. They're going to have health care provided for them. If there's any issues they have whatsoever at these military bases, the military is going to take care of them. Because they have to. By law, they have to. Now, here's the part you're not thinking about. You see, there's been this push to separate out from society. You know what? Florida Maquis, I am right with you. I hear this all the time. I'm right with you on this idea of separating from the federal government and getting away from all this. They just run every part of your life. They want you to have an ID for this, an ID for that, and you've got to file this paperwork and that paperwork, and they're just trying to track you. I get that. Let's say the group of your friends decide they want to go live, say, like the Amish. Oh, real quick, do the Amish have to assimilate? See, I hear that too. Real quick, I don't mean to get distracted here, but people say, well, Florida Maquis, oh, these people come from these other countries. They're not assimilating to American culture. Do the Amish? Did the Amish and the Mennonites, did they have to, are they forced to assimilate? Would you know an illegal Dutch Amish person from somebody who had paper, did have papers or didn't have papers? Would you know? Is anybody going to Amish communities and checking to see if all of them have all of the papers that they're required to have to be here? I didn't think so. But what if you chose to do that? What if you decided, you know what? We're done. We're done. We're going to go and we're going to live off grid. Group of my friends and I, we don't think there's very much time left for this country. So we're going to make the calculated risk. We're going to go live off grid. And we're going to get rid of all of our IDs, all of our papers. And we're going to go, what if the government tracks you down then? What if the government tracks you down then and demands you produce papers? You're living out here in the woods and you're growing your own vegetables and hunting when you need to, and they demand you provide pay, and you don't have them. I wonder where you're going to go. I wonder what's going to happen to you. You can insist all day long, but I'm white. Look, I'm European. I speak English. You can't prove with papers who you are and where you were born. They might have to detain you for a certain amount of time. They might have to, well, we kind of believe you, but we can't leave you here without you showing us the proper paperwork. You see, that's the new standard now. You're no longer constitutionally protected in your person and papers. That's been gotten rid of. Because now the federal government can go demand. They can go use military force. They can bash in your door and demand you prove to them you're an American citizen by showing them some type of birth certificate or driver's real ID or something. And you're just cheering it on. You're just cheering it on and thinking it's great. I have a question though. Homeless people. Don't you think they'd like 3 hots and a cot and medical care? 3 hots and a cot, of course, stands for 3 hot meals a day and a place to sleep. Military term. 3 hots and a cot. Probably even clothing to wear. Fresh water, clean water, a safe place. We have homeless veterans that don't have that. But because those people can't prove, are you ready? Remember this? I've been putting this thumbnail up for about 2 years, maybe even 3 now. Are you ready? Are you ready for that living off the grid lifestyle? I'll let the pictures speak for themselves. For that cash underground economy lifestyle? Ladies, are you sure? Are you sure that you'd rather encounter a grizzly bear on your own in the wild than another human being, male person, I guess? Are you sure? Because you couldn't produce your papers? Florida Monkey, why would Donald Trump do that? Oh, of course, I can tell you exactly why. I can tell you exactly why he would want a giant camp full of people with no papers and no rights. I can tell you exactly why Donald Trump could be talked into collecting together 100,000, 200,000 people who have no papers and no rights. Because, of course, they're not legal people, right? They're not legal people, according to you. They're not real. They have no rights. They have no constitutional protection. So what better place to test out the brand new mRNA jabs for Project Stargate? Because, of course, when you have a large group of people like that, when you have a very large group of people, where's the picture? You're going to have to protect them from the bird flu. You're going to have to protect them from pneumonia. You're going to have to protect them from whatever else. What better place in the Donald Trump Fort Bliss detention camp? Now, 14 minutes in. Patriot Nurse. Fantastic channel. Been watching her for years and years and years. A lot of stuff going on over in Israel right now. A lot of things happening. A lot of people getting all caught up in emotions. And I'm not saying that people don't have a reason to be angry. It is what it is at this point. But I'd like to ask her a question. And maybe it's already been answered. Maybe there's a video where she's already addressed it. It's my understanding that she's a Jewish American. I believe, I don't have any necessary fact in front of me that I could prove it, but I'm assuming she was born here in the United States. I don't know, maybe she was born in Israel, I don't know. But I'd like to ask the question, what has she had to do? And if you're out there listening, Patriot Nurse, what did you have to do in America to assimilate that you wouldn't have had to do if you were living in Israel? I mean, you were born here as an American citizen, I'm assuming, but you're still constitutionally protected in your right to practice Judaism. You have a right to that. You can be whoever you want to be. There are Italian Americans out there who love talking about the fact that they're Italian Americans. And they aren't necessarily required, just like the Amish. Just like the Amish aren't required to assimilate. Jewish Americans are also not required in any way, shape, or form to assimilate. They believe, they practice, that they're a Torah observant group of people, that I believe that the Sabbath is sundown. I hope it's, I want to get this right. Sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. If I'm not mistaken, that's their Sabbath day. Well, we as Gentiles don't necessarily practice that. We sometimes call Sunday our day of rest. Everybody goes to church on Sunday. So, I mean, we do what we do, they do what they do, and the Amish have their own thing going on, and there was no federal government saying you have to assimilate. Meaning if she wanted to put an Israel flag out on her step, she can. If an Italian American wanted to put an Italian American flag out, they could too. I don't think the Dutch have flags, but if the Amish dress in a way that pretty much they walk around, their costumes that they wear, their clothing advertises the fact that they are separating themselves out from society. This is kind of my point about these immigrants. And what if one day somebody came and bashed in the Patriot Nurse's door and said, Patriot Nurse, we got a lot going on in the world right now, and we've seen some of your YouTube videos, and we know that you have weapons, and can you produce for us the paperwork that you have that allows you to keep such weapons, and the fact that you're a U.S. citizen? That's great. We need to see papers on that too. We don't know necessarily whether you have allegiances to Israel or us, but no big deal here. We just want you to be able to prove it to us. You need to prove it to us that you're on board with being an American. I mean, we don't necessarily probably have a reason now to doubt it so much, but there are those out there. There are those out there in this country that maybe think that we shouldn't be so attached to Israel, kind of like the whole Ukraine thing. We shouldn't be, attached to that either. I personally down here have seen people here in Florida that support the whole thing in Ukraine, and they put little Ukrainian flags out in front of their houses. Should they be required now to take those down and assimilate? Do you get my point? Do you get kind of my point about this whole assimilation crap? Assimilate or get thrown in a camp? Is that what we're saying now? Assimilate forcibly or get thrown in a camp. Show your papers on demand. Show your papers on demand to military forces that may arrive at your door, or get deported, thrown in a camp, mRNA jabbed against your will. Oh, but Donald Trump would never. Is Donald Trump going to be in charge forever? I don't think he'd have a problem with it, really. But is Donald Trump going to be in charge forever? Guess what power has just been given to the federal government because of this? Sure hope your plan wasn't to get rid of your attachment to Washington, D.C., because, boy, now I tell you what, if they find you and you can't prove you have a right, to be here, guess what's happening? Yep, they're going to cuff you up, stuff you up, give you a couple, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jabs of this mRNA and that mRNA and this other mRNA, and, you know, because we need to protect America. We need to protect America. Here you go. Protecting America. One military base FEMA camp at a time. Donald Trump. God bless. Join us over Patreon. Love to have you. God bless. And once again, thank you, Patriot Nerds, for all the wonderful content. Didn't mean to, poke the bear, so to speak, open up a can of worms, but I would love to hear your take on this. I would absolutely love to hear it. Because living up in Tennessee, you're not, that's not some secret. I know there are folks up there that ain't too fond of Israel. Up in Appalachia, there's a lot of folks who take kind of a dim view of our support of Israel, and they put Israel and Ukraine and other places all kind of in the same boat. So would kind of love to hear your take on that. But once again, join us Patreon. Love to have you. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Pray for the Patriot Nurse, of course. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.